Welcome to the art of being alone. For to go refafs to their police, Self-Reliance, an audiobook, a Liberty audiobook. Every meaningful relationship in your life is shaped by one relationship that never ends, the one you have with yourself. Yet, in our constantly connected world, many people spend years learning how to connect with others, how to navigate social cues, and how to present themselves to the world, while never truly learning how to be comfortable in their own company. We fill every quiet moment with noise, every empty space with distraction, and every uncomfortable feeling with another activity, hoping we will never have to face the silence. But silence is not the enemy. Often, it is the doorway to the life you have been searching for. Consider the profound words of the French philosopher Blaise Pascal, who observed, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." Why perhaps an exaggeration, Pascal's insight highlights a fundamental truth: our discomfort with solitude often masks deeper anxieties and an unwillingness to confront our inner landscape. We are taught to fear being alone, to view it as a sign of loneliness or failure, but this perspective fundamentally misunderstands the profound potential of solitude. Being alone does not mean being lonely. Loneliness is a feeling of isolation, a yearning for connection that is absent. Solitude, on the other hand, is the intentional choice to spend time with yourself in a way that restores, strengthens, and enriches you. One leaves you feeling empty, while the other helps you become whole. The difference is not found in the number of people around you, it is found in the condition of your mind. Solitude is a skill, an art, and a source of strength that has guided philosophers, artists, leaders, and ordinary people toward deeper wisdom for generations. From ancient Stoics like Seneca, who advocated for daily introspection, to transcendentalists like Henry David Thoreau, who sought truth in nature's quiet embrace, history is replete with examples of those who understood that true power often blossoms in stillness. When you learn to enjoy your own company, you stop depending on constant approval, endless entertainment, or the presence of others to feel complete. You begin to discover a peace that cannot easily be shaken by life's changing circumstances. In this audiobook, we will embark on a journey to explore how to transform time alone into one of the greatest advantages you can possess. We will delve into timeless lessons and practical insights that will help you quiet your mind, build lasting self-reliance, strengthen your emotional resilience, free yourself from the burden of comparison, and create a life that feels rich from the inside out. Each chapter will offer not just concepts, but actionable wisdom that helps you replace restlessness with inner calm and the fear of solitude with quiet confidence. By the end of this journey, me find that the greatest companion you have been searching for has been with you all along. When you learn the art of being alone, you discover that true happiness is not found in escaping yourself. It is found in finally coming home to who you are, fully and without apology. Prepare to unlock a profound source of strength and tranquility that will serve you in every facet of your life. Let us begin. Chapter 1. Face the silence. Without fear. Silence has a way of revealing what noise keeps hidden. The moment the television is turned off, the phone is put away, and the conversations come to an end, you are left with one person, yourself. For many people, that moment feels profoundly uncomfortable. There is an immediate, almost unconscious urge to reach for another distraction, another message, another video, another task. They are not simply avoiding boredom. They are avoiding the thoughts and feelings that rise when there is nowhere left to run. Yet that very place we often avoid was where some of life's greatest discoveries begin. Being alone is one of the most misunderstood experiences in human life. It is often confused with loneliness, but as we have noted, they are not the same. Loneliness is the painful feeling that something important is missing, a lack of connection, a sense of being estranged from others. Solitude, on the other hand, is the deliberate choice to spend time with yourself in a way that restores and strengthens you. One leaves you feeling empty, vulnerable, and yearning. The other helps you become whole, self-contained, and serene. The critical distinction is not found in the number of people around you, but in the condition of your mind and the intention behind your aloneness. Imagine sitting on a quiet bench in a peaceful park. One person feels trapped by the silence. They nervously check their phone every few minutes, their mind racing with unaddressed tasks and anxieties. Another person, sitting on the very same bench, notices the gentle breeze, watches the trees sway, listens to the distant chirping of birds, and feels grateful simply to be present. The external surroundings are identical, yet their experiences are completely different. The change, the peace or restlessness, comes entirely from within. This is one of the first and most fundamental lessons in the art of being alone. Your peace is not created by your environment. It is created by your relationship with yourself. Many people spend years believing they need the right relationship, the right career, or the right group of friends before they can finally feel complete. While these external factors certainly add meaning and joy to life, they cannot replace the foundational bedrock of inner peace. If you are uncomfortable with yourself when you are alone, no amount of company will permanently solve that discomfort. Other people can encourage you, love you, and inspire you, but they cannot build the quiet confidence that only grows from knowing and accepting yourself. Think about the moments when you have been forced into solitude, perhaps unexpectedly. A friendship ended, your schedule suddenly became quieter, or life changed in a way you never anticipated. Those seasons may have felt difficult at first, bringing a sense of loss or disorientation, yet it also gave you opportunities you could not have found in constant activity. They invited you to reflect deeply, to question what truly mattered, and to discover strengths that had remained hidden beneath everyday distractions. Growth rarely announces itself with excitement. More often, it arrives quietly, while no one else is watching, in the stillness of self-reflection. The fear of silence usually comes from a deeply ingrained belief that if we stop moving, if we stop distracting ourselves, we will be overwhelmed by our own thoughts and emotions. Sometimes that fear is understandable. Silence may bring old disappointments, lingering regrets, persistent worries, or unanswered questions to the surface. But avoiding those thoughts did not make them disappear. They simply wait for another day, often growing in intensity beneath the conscious mind. Facing them with patience and honesty is the beginning of true freedom. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge, and you cannot understand yourself if you never allow yourself to listen. Let us consider Aditi, a young woman from a small town, whose life had always revolved around the vibrant energy of people. From childhood, she was accustomed to crowds, laughter, and constant engagement. Her days were a tapestry of friends, family, and activities, leaving scarcely a moment for introspection. Her best friend, Samir, was her constant companion, a confidant with whom she shared everything. When Samir suddenly moved abroad, Aditi was plunged into an unexpected silence. A profound emptiness settled over her, an invisible void where laughter and conversation once echoed. Initially, she believed this feeling was temporary, a mere adjustment. But as days turned into weeks, she noticed that even the people around her were engrossed in their own worlds. She felt a deep unfamiliarity, as if she were a stranger in her own life, constantly asking herself, "Am I truly alone?" The answer, she realized, was not about physical presence, but about internal connection. No, I just have not had the time to know myself. This initial discomfort, this chilling silence, was her first invitation to face herself without fear. Learning to enjoy your own company does not happen overnight. It is a gradual process, an art cultivated through consistent practice. It begins with small, intentional moments. Sit quietly for a few minutes without immediately reaching for your phone. Take a walk without filling every second with music or conversation. Eat a meal slowly, savoring each bite, and notice your thoughts instead of rushing to escape them. These simple habits may seem insignificant, but they teach your mind an important lesson. Silence is safe. The more often you practice, the more familiar and less threatening it becomes. What once felt uncomfortable gradually starts to feel peaceful. As your comfort with solitude grows, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop seeing time alone as empty time. Instead, you begin to recognize it as valuable time. It becomes an opportunity to think clearly before making decisions, to understand your emotions before reacting, and to reconnect with the person you are becoming. You no longer depend on constant stimulation to feel alive, because you have discovered something much more lasting, a calm mind that does not require external noise to feel complete. This chapter is not asking you to withdraw from the world or avoid meaningful relationships. Human connection is, indeed, one of life's greatest gifts. But healthy relationships become stronger and more fulfilling when they are built by people who already know how to stand comfortably on their own. The goal is not to choose solitude instead of people. The goal is to stop fearing the moments when you are by yourself. Because once you no longer fear silence, you will begin to hear something that has been waiting for you all along, the quiet, steady voice of your own wisdom. Chapter 2. Become someone you enjoy being with. Imagine spending an entire afternoon with yourself. There are no messages to answer, no meetings to attend, no television playing in the background, and no one asking for your attention. Would that thought make you feel peaceful or restless? Your answer reveals something profoundly important about your inner life. If being alone with yourself feels like a burden, it is not because solitude is inherently the problem. It is because your relationship with yourself has not yet become a friendship. Many people work tirelessly to become someone other people will admire. They develop skills to impress employers, wear clothes that earn compliments, and shape their personalities to fit seamlessly into different social groups. There is nothing inherently wrong with wanting to make a good impression or seeking positive external feedback. However, somewhere along the way, we often forget to ask a much more important question. Do I enjoy being the person I am when no one else is around? This question cannot be answered by applause, promotions, or popularity. It can only be answered in the quiet, unguarded moments when you are alone with your own thoughts, stripped of all external performance. The truth is simple, yet often evaded. You cannot escape yourself. Wherever you go, you take your mind, your inner world, and your core being with you. You may travel to another country, move into a new home, or begin a different career. But the person living inside you remains fundamentally the same unless you intentionally choose to grow and evolve. That is why changing your surroundings often brings only temporary relief. A new place may excite you for a while, providing a fresh canvas, but eventually the excitement fades, and you are left with the same inner conversation you carried there. Becoming someone you enjoy being with begins by consciously and consistently changing that internal conversation. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself throughout the day. Many people would never criticize a close friend as harshly as they criticize themselves. A small mistake becomes immediate proof that they are not good enough. One disappointment becomes overwhelming evidence that they will never succeed. These thoughts slowly become ingrained habits, and those habits in turn shape how they experience every quiet moment. Instead, begin speaking to yourself with honesty and kindness. Kindness does not mean pretending your weaknesses do not exist or ignoring areas for improvement. It means believing you are capable of improving them, extending the same patience and understanding you would to a beloved friend. Imagine a wise teacher encouraging a student. The teacher points out mistakes and areas for growth, but never destroys hope or self-belief. That is the internal voice you should cultivate within yourself, firm enough to inspire growth and gentle enough to keep you moving forward. Another powerful way to enjoy your own company is to become deeply curious. Curious people are rarely bored because they always find something worth exploring, both within themselves and in the world around them. Read books that challenge your thinking and broaden your perspective. Learn a new skill simply because it interests you, without the pressure of external achievement. Keep a journal where you examine your experiences, your reactions, and your insights, instead of merely living through them passively. Ask yourself meaningful, searching questions. What truly matters to me? What kind of person do I want to become? What habits am I cultivating that are quietly shaping my future? Every honest answer strengthens your connection with yourself and builds the richer internal landscape. This inner growth also fundamentally changes the way you experience time. Instead of seeing an empty evening as something to get through or survive, you begin to see it as a precious opportunity. It becomes dedicated time to learn, reflect, create, or simply rest without guilt. You stop treating every free moment as a problem that must be filled. Instead, you recognize that unhurried moments are often precisely where your clearest thoughts appear, where insights crystallize, and where genuine peace can be found. Consider the story of Ethan Mercer, a financial analyst living in a bustling city. His weekdays were a blur of meetings, spreadsheets, and constant interaction with colleagues. Yet every weekend, a profound uneasiness settled over him. His quiet apartment reminded him of his aloneness, so he compulsively filled every hour with television, social media, and endless, often meaningless, errands. By Sunday night, he felt just as empty and drained as he had on Friday evening. One day, he decided to try something different. Instead of escaping the silence, he decided to welcome it. He began each Saturday morning with a walk through a nearby park, carrying only a notebook. At first, the quiet felt unfamiliar, almost unsettling. But over time, he started writing down ideas, reflecting on his goals, and noticing small moments of gratitude that had once passed unnoticed. He began to explore new interests, visiting museums alone, and even trying his hand at sketching. Months later, his weekends no longer felt lonely or burdensome. They became the part of the week he valued most, not because they were filled with external excitement, but because they helped him reconnect with himself, fostering a deep sense of contentment and purpose. Stories like Ethan's remind us that the art of solitude does not change overnight. It becomes meaningful through repeated practice and intentional engagement. Every time you choose reflection instead of distraction, you strengthen the habit of enjoying your own company. Every time you invest in your character, your intellect, or your inner world instead of chasing constant external entertainment, you become a richer, more profound person on the inside. There is another powerful benefit that often surprises people. When you genuinely enjoy your own company, you stop expecting others to carry the responsibility of making you happy. Your relationships become lighter, healthier, and more authentic because they are built on sharing life, not filling emotional emptiness. You appreciate people without clinging to them. You value companionship without fearing its absence. This quiet independence creates stronger friendships, deeper love, and greater respect for both yourself and others, for you come to them not out of need, but out of a full heart. Becoming someone you enjoyed being with is not about becoming perfect. Perfection is an illusory and impossible destination. Growth is the real, attainable goal. Every day offers another opportunity to become a little wiser, a little calmer, a little more patient, and a little more grateful. As these qualities take root and flourish, something remarkable happens. The person you once tried to avoid, the inner self you perhaps neglected, becomes the person you trust the most, your most steadfast ally. One day, you may find yourself sitting alone with no urgent plans, no distractions vying for your attention, and no need to escape the present moment. Instead of feeling empty or restless, you will feel profoundly at home. That is the quiet reward of building a strong relationship with yourself. When your own company becomes a source of comfort, strength, and joy, you carry a lasting sense of peace, a portable sanctuary, wherever life takes you. Chapter 3. Listens to the voice beneath the noise. Every day your mind is bombarded by countless voices. Some come from conversations with family and friends, each carrying their perspectives and expectations. Others originate from advertisements, news headlines, social media feeds, podcasts, emails, and an endless stream of notifications. Each one clamors for your attention. Each one subtly or overtly tells you what to buy, what to believe, what to fear, or what you should become. After a while, so many external voices fill your mental space that your own inner voice, your authentic self, becomes difficult to hear. This is one of the greatest challenges of modern life. We are constantly connected to the world, yet increasingly disconnected from ourselves. Your inner voice is not loud. It does not compete with the cacophony around you. It speaks quietly through your thoughts, your deepest values, your intuition, and your most authentic desires. If you never slow down long enough to listen, you may spend years living according to someone else's expectations, pursuing goals that are not truly yours, instead of aligning with your own convictions. Many people wake up one day and wonder how they ended up living a life that feels unfamiliar, as if it belongs to someone else. The answer is often simple. They spent so much time listening outward that they forgot to listen inward. Learning to hear yourself requires intentional silence, a deliberate stepping away from the external din. At first, silence may feel strange, even disorienting, because your mind has grown accustomed to constant stimulation. You may notice random thoughts, fragments of unfinished conversations, worries about tomorrow, or memories from years ago. Do not be discouraged by this initial mental chatter. Imagine a glass of muddy water that has just been shaken. The more it is disturbed, the cloudier it becomes. But if you simply leave it alone, allowing it to rest, the mud slowly settles, and the water eventually becomes clear. Your mind works in much the same way. Clarity comes not from forcing your thoughts into order, but from giving them the space to settle naturally. One of the greatest gifts of quiet reflection is that it helps you distinguish between what is urgent and what is truly important. Modern life often encourages immediate reactions. Every notification feels like it demands an instant response. Every problem appears larger and more pressing because it is placed directly in front of you, amplified by the digital world. But silence changes your perspective. It allows you to step back, to gain altitude, and to ask better questions. Will this truly matter a year from now? Am I reacting from a place of fear or from a place of wisdom? Is this decision leading me toward the person I want to become, or simply away from temporary discomfort? These profound questions rarely appear in a hurried, distracted mind. They emerge when your thoughts have room to breathe, when the surface of the mental lake becomes calm. Many of life's biggest mistakes are not made because people lack intelligence or good intentions. They happen because people rarely pause long enough to think clearly before acting. Words spoken in anger, decisions made in panic, commitments accepted without reflection, often create problems that could have been avoided with a few moments of quiet consideration. Silence creates a crucial space between feeling and action. Inside that space lives wisdom, clarity, and the opportunity for intentional response. The more often you enter it, the less likely you are to become controlled by impulse or external pressure. Quiet also awakens creativity, a force often stifled by constant noise. Some of history's greatest ideas and artistic breakthroughs did not appear during moments of chaos, but during peaceful walks, solitary mornings, or evenings spent reflecting. Isaac Newton's apple, Archimedes' eureka moment, the silent meditation of countless poets and artists. These moments of insight often occurred when the mind was unburdened by distraction. Creativity does not always arrive with a dramatic flourish or a burst of excitement. Sometimes it appears as a gentle realization, a novel solution to an old problem, or a simple idea that quietly changes everything. But creativity needs room to breathe, to connect disparate dots. A mind crowded with endless distractions has little space left for original thought or genuine inspiration. Listening to yourself also means becoming honest with yourself. In the quiet, you might uncover dreams you have ignored because they seemed impractical or unrealistic. You might face fears you have hidden beneath constant busyness. There may even be habits you know are holding you back, but have never taken the time to confront directly. Silence has a remarkable way of uncovering these truths. It does not judge you for them. It simply places them before you, gently but firmly, and invites you to respond with courage and integrity. This honesty is not meant to discourage you. On the contrary, it is the beginning of genuine freedom and growth. You cannot improve a life you refuse to examine. When you acknowledge your strengths, you gain confidence. When you recognize your weaknesses, you gain clear direction. Both discoveries are valuable because they bring you closer to becoming the complete person you are capable of being. There is another quiet voice beneath the noise, often overlooked, the voice of gratitude. In a busy, outward-focused life, it is easy to focus on what is missing. There is always another goal to reach, another possession to buy, another achievement to pursue. But when you slow down, when you allow silence to settle, you begin to notice what will spend present all along. You notice the comfort of a peaceful morning, the kindness of a familiar face, the strength you have gained through past struggles, and the simple privilege of another day to grow and experience. Gratitude becomes easier to hear when the world stops shouting and your own mind becomes quiet enough to perceive these subtle blessings. Listening beneath the noise does not require a remote cabin in the mountains or weeks away from society, though such retreats can be profoundly enriching. It can happen in ordinary moments, during a quiet walk before sunrise, while sitting with a cup of coffee before the day begins, or while watching the evening sky without reaching for your phone. These small moments are powerful because they remind you that peace is not found in escaping life. It is found in paying attention to it, deeply and without judgment. As you continue practicing the art of being alone, make it a habit to protect these moments of silence. Treat them as essential appointments with the most important person you will ever know, you. Over time, you will begin to recognize the subtle but profound difference between the loud, often conflicting opinions of the world and the quiet, steady wisdom that has always existed within you. And when that inner voice becomes familiar and trusted, your decisions will become steadier, your mind calmer, and your life more intentional. The world will always have something to say, but the voice that deserves your deepest attention is the one that helps you become your truest, most authentic self. Chapter 4. Stop asking the world who you are. From the moment you are born, the world begins offering opinions about who you should become. Family members have expectations, often well-intentioned. Teachers compare your performance with others. Friends influence your choices and shape your aspirations. Society quietly defines success through metrics of status, appearance, income, and popularity. Before long, it becomes all too easy to mistake these outside voices for your own. Without fully realizing it, you begin looking to the world for permission to feel valuable, to feel worthy of existence. There is nothing wrong with accepting guidance from wise people. Advice can save years of unnecessary mistakes. Encouragement can strengthen your confidence during difficult seasons. But there is a crucial difference between learning from others and depending on them to define your worth. The first helps you grow and navigate life with greater wisdom. The second keeps you emotionally dependent, perpetually seeking external validation that is, by its very nature, fleeting and unreliable. If your confidence rises and falls with every compliment or criticism, then you have, in essence, handed the steering wheel of your life to people who may not even know where you truly want to go or who you truly are. Many people spend years chasing approval without ever recognizing the profound cost. They hesitate to express their real opinions because they fear disagreement or rejection. They choose careers that impress others instead of fulfilling themselves. They remain silent when they should speak, and say yes when their heart is quietly asking them say no. Outwardly, they may appear successful, accomplished, and well-adjusted. Inwardly, however, they often feel disconnected from the person they were meant to become, carrying a subtle but persistent sense of emptiness. Approval may feel comforting for a moment, a temporary balm, but it can quietly and insidiously pull you away from your own authentic path. One of the greatest benefits of solitude is that it gives you the sacred space to ask questions that no one else can truly answer for you. What do you truly believe, deep in your core? What kind of character do you genuinely want to develop, irrespective of external rewards? What values would you uphold, even if nobody applauded you for them, even if it meant standing alone? These questions require honesty, courage, and introspection, not popularity or external consensus. They invite you to build an identity from the inside out, a self-concept rooted in your own truth, instead of borrowing one from the constantly shifting opinions of the people around you. Imagine standing before two mirrors. One mirror reflects how other people see you, your reputation, your public persona. The second reflects who you actually are when no one is watching, your character, your private integrity. The first image changes constantly because opinions change. One day you are admired, the next day you are criticized, often for the very same qualities. The second image changes only as your character changes, reflecting your integrity, your courage, your kindness, and your discipline. If you spend your life polishing the first mirror while ignoring the second, you may look successful to others, feeling profoundly empty and disconnected within yourself. This is why strong character matters infinitely more than a strong reputation. Reputation lives in the minds of other people. Character lives within you. Reputation can disappear overnight because of a rumor, a misunderstanding, or circumstances beyond your control. Character, however, remains with you wherever you go. It becomes the quiet, unshakable foundation beneath every decision you make and every challenge you face. Consider Vanessa Holloway, an event planner renowned for organizing elegant weddings and corporate celebrations. Her calendar was perpetually full, and her clients regularly praised her meticulous attention to detail. Yet beneath her sparkling professional success, she carried a constant gnawing fear of disappointing people. If one client criticized a small detail, she questioned her abilities for days, her confidence shattered. If someone failed to compliment her work, she assumed she had fallen short, internalizing the lack of external praise as a personal failure. Her self-worth depended almost entirely on the ever-changing opinions of others. Eventually, Vanessa realized she was exhausting herself, perpetually running on a treadmill of trying to satisfy external expectations that constantly shifted and expanded. She decided to change her approach. She began keeping a journal after each project. Instead of asking, "Did everyone approve of me?" she asked different, more empowering questions. Did I give my best effort? Did I act with honesty and integrity? Did I treat people with respect, even under pressure? Did I learn something that will make me better next time? Those questions gradually shifted her focus from external praise to internal growth and self-assessment. Her work improved, but more importantly, her peace of mind did. She still appreciated kind words, but she no longer needed them to believe in herself. Her confidence became an internal compass, not an external barometer. There is a quiet, profound freedom that comes when you stop performing for the approval of strangers or even well-meaning acquaintances. You no longer waste precious energy pretending to be someone you are not. You become more willing to admit mistakes because your intrinsic value is not destroyed by imperfection. You become more willing to pursue meaningful goals, even if they are not fashionable or widely understood. Instead of constantly asking whether everyone agrees with your choices, you begin asking whether your choices agree with your values and your authentic self. This does not mean becoming stubbornly inflexible or refusing to listen to feedback. Wise people remain teachable throughout their lives. They welcome constructive criticism because they care deeply about growth and improvement, but they also know the crucial difference between helpful guidance and empty judgment or fleeting opinions. They do not allow every passing comment or criticism to become a permanent belief about themselves. Their identity is not up for public vote. One helpful habit is to spend a few minutes at the end of each day reviewing your actions and intentions rather than your recognition or popularity. Ask yourself simple, honest questions. Was I patient today? Did I keep my word? Did I act with integrity even when it was inconvenient or difficult? Did I move one step closer to becoming the person I truly want to be? These questions build genuine self-respect because they measure what you can actually control, what truly reflects your inner character. As you continue mastering the art of being alone, remember that solitude gives you something the noisy, demanding world rarely offers: an opportunity to know yourself without interruption, without external pressure, without the need to perform. In that quiet, sacred place, you discover that your identity is not a fragile collection of compliments, titles, or achievements. It is built, one intentional decision at a time, through the values you choose to live by. The day you stop asking the world who you are is the day you truly begin becoming the unique, powerful, and authentic person you are always capable of being. Chapter 5. Fill your solitude with meaning. Time alone is like an empty room. Some people walk into that room and immediately feel the need to fill it with noise, clutter, and constant activity. Others, however, slowly and thoughtfully furnish it with things that enrich their lives, bring them joy, and foster growth. The room itself is neither inherently good nor bad. Its value depends entirely on what you choose to place inside it. In the same way, solitude becomes either a burden or a profound blessing, based on how you choose to use it. If you leave it empty, boredom and restlessness quickly settle in. But if you fill it with purpose and intentionality, it becomes one of the richest, most fertile parts of your life. Many people are conditioned to think that happiness comes from always having something exciting to do. They chase one form of entertainment after another, believing that a constantly busy schedule is proof of a meaningful life. Yet, excitement, by its very nature, fades quickly. A thrilling movie ends. A long-anticipated vacation comes to a close. Even grand celebrations eventually become cherished memories. Meaning, however, lasts much longer. It leaves you with a quiet, abiding sense that your time has been well spent, that your efforts have contributed to something lasting, and that you have grown as a person. The art of being alone is not about finding endless excitement. It is about cultivating a life that continues to nourish your mind, your heart, and your character, even when no one else is present to witness it. One of the greatest mistakes you can make is believing that free time is simply time to escape. There is certainly a vital place for rest and relaxation. Your mind and body absolutely need moments to recover and recharge. But there is a crucial difference between true rest and actively avoiding life through endless distraction. Rest leaves you refreshed, renewed, and ready for what comes next. Constant escape, on the other hand, leaves you unchanged, often more weary than before, and perpetually feeling as though life is passing you by. If every quiet evening is spent simply distracting yourself, weeks become months, and months quietly become years. Time passes, whether you use it wisely or not. The profound question is whether it leaves you stronger and wiser, or merely older and unfulfilled. Meaning begins with intention. Before you even ask how to spend your time, ask why you have been given it. Every hour holds the possibility of becoming an investment in yourself and your future, rather than a mere expense of time. Reading a thoughtful book may shape your thinking for decades, providing insights that ripple through your life. Learning a new skill may open doors and opportunities you cannot yet imagine. Reflecting deeply on your experiences may help you avoid repeating yesterday's mistakes and accelerate your personal growth. Even something as simple as taking a peaceful, mindful walk can profoundly renew your perspective if you remain fully present and observant. Think about the people you admire most, those who possess genuine wisdom and depth. Rarely are they admired simply because they filled every spare moment with entertainment. They became wise because they remained perpetually curious, lifelong learners. They asked penetrating questions, searched diligently for understanding, practiced their craft with dedication, and continued learning long after others had stopped. They treated quiet hours as valuable opportunities for growth and creation, rather than empty spaces waiting to be filled. You may not become a famous inventor, writer, or leader, but you can certainly develop the same habit of lifelong learning and inner growth. That habit, perhaps the most empowering of all, is available to everyone, regardless of their circumstances. One beautiful and universally accessible way to fill solitude with meaning is through intentional reflection. Reflection is not the same as worrying. Worry circles endlessly around problems without moving forward, often amplifying anxiety. Reflection, by contrast, looks at experiences, emotions, and decisions with the explicit intention of learning from them, integrating them, and growing. At the end of each day, ask yourself a few simple questions. What brought me peace today? What challenged my patience or character? What did I learn about myself or the world? Where did I act according to my values? And where can I improve tomorrow? These questions gently guide your life in the right direction without filling your mind with regret. They foster self-awareness and intentional living. Another profoundly meaningful practice is gratitude. Gratitude has the power to fundamentally change the way you experience ordinary life. Instead of constantly searching for something bigger, something external to make you happy, you begin appreciating what is already within your reach, what is already present in your life. A warm cup of coffee in the morning, the soothing sound of rain against the window, a kind conversation with a loved one, a healthy body capable of carrying you through another day. These moments often go unnoticed because the mind is busy chasing the next achievement, the next shiny object. Solitude slows you down enough to truly recognize and savor them. The more grateful you become, the less dependent you are on extraordinary circumstances or external accomplishments to feel genuinely happy and content. Creativity also flourishes in meaningful solitude. You do not have to be a professional artist to live creatively. Writing in a journal, tending a garden, cooking a thoughtful meal, building something with your hands, practicing an instrument, or even solving a difficult problem at work. All of these activities require the same quality of focused attention and imaginative engagement. They invite you to become fully absorbed in what you are doing, losing yourself in the process. During these moments, time often seems to disappear, because your mind is completely engaged, fully present. This kind of focused attention not only improves your abilities and skills, but also brings a deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment that passive entertainment rarely provides. Meaningful solitude also teaches you to become comfortable without constant stimulation. At first, this may feel unfamiliar, perhaps even jarring, because modern life relentlessly trains you to expect continuous input. Every spare moment can be filled with scrolling, watching, listening, or responding. But when you consciously resist that ingrained habit, something remarkable begins to happen. Your own thoughts become more interesting, more profound. Ideas connect more naturally, forging new pathways in your mind. Small observations become imbued with deeper meaning. You begin noticing details that would have been invisible in a distracted, hurried life. Your inner world expands and becomes a source of endless fascination. There will always be days when your schedule is packed, and days when it is unexpectedly quiet. Instead of fearing those quieter seasons, or trying to frantically fill them, welcome them as precious opportunities. They offer a chance to strengthen the part of yourself that cannot be developed in a crowd, a chance to deepen your roots. They give you the essential room to think clearly, to learn, to recover, and to grow. These moments are not interruptions to life. They are an essential, enriching, and often overlooked part of it. As you continue this journey, remember that solitude is never meant to be empty. It is meant to become fertile ground where wisdom takes root, gratitude blossoms, creativity awakens, and character quietly matures. Every meaningful habit you cultivate while you are alone becomes something you carry into every conversation, every relationship, and every challenge. When you fill your solitude with purpose, you discover that being alone is no longer about the absence of people. It becomes the powerful presence of a richer, stronger, and more peaceful version of yourself. Chapter 6. Train yourself to stand alone. Standing alone is not the same as standing against everyone. It does not mean refusing help, rejecting friendship, or believing you possess all the answers. On the contrary, it means developing the quiet, unshakable confidence to remain steady and true to yourself, even when external approval is absent, opinions around you differ drastically, or circumstances become uncertain and challenging. A magnificent tree that grows strong and resilient does not rely on another tree to keep it standing. Its enduring strength comes from the depth and widespread reach of its own roots, anchoring it firmly to the earth. In much the same way, your greatest stability and resilience come from the strength you build within yourself. Many people mistakenly equate dependence with connection. They believe that if they constantly need someone's advice, reassurance, or permission for every decision, they are simply being close to others or maintaining strong bonds. While healthy relationships certainly involve trust, mutual support, and interdependence, they should never replace your fundamental ability to think for yourself, make your own decisions, and grow independently. When you depend on others for every important decision, every emotional need, you slowly, almost imperceptibly, lose confidence in your own judgment. Over time, even simple choices begin to feel overwhelming because you no longer trust yourself to make them. You outsource your autonomy. Self-reliance begins with accepting full responsibility for your own life. This may sound obvious, yet it is often one of the hardest and most liberating lessons to truly embrace. It is tempting to blame circumstances, difficult people, or unfortunate events whenever life becomes challenging or does not go according to plan. While some situations are genuinely beyond your control, a response to those situations always belongs to you. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to rescue you, to provide the answers, or to make things right, is the very moment you begin discovering your own profound strength and capability. Think back to your childhood. There were countless things you could not do at first. You learned to walk by falling, learned to read by struggling through unfamiliar words, and acquired innumerable other skills through repeated, often frustrating, practice. Confidence did not arrive before the effort. It arrived because of the effort, because of the persistence through initial failures. The same principle applies throughout life. For every challenge you face independently, every problem you solve using your own resources, becomes irrefutable evidence that you are more capable, more resilient, and more resourceful than you once believed. These small victories accumulate, building an internal reservoir of self-trust. One significant reason people avoid standing alone is the pervasive fear of making mistakes. They assume that choosing incorrectly will somehow prove they are incapable, unworthy, or unintelligent. But mistakes are not signs of failure. They are, in fact, undeniable signs of participation, of courage, of trying. Someone who never makes a mistake usually avoids making decisions altogether, living a life of cautious inaction. A person who truly grows is willing to act, to learn from the outcomes, to adjust their course, and to improve. The goal is not to become perfect. The goal is to become wiser, more capable, and more resilient through lived experience. This is where solitude becomes an invaluable teacher. When you spend time reflecting, contemplating, and analyzing instead of immediately reacting or seeking external solutions, you begin noticing how capable you truly are. You discover that many problems, even seemingly intractable ones, can be solved with patience, careful thought, and persistent effort. Instead of immediately seeking someone else's answer, you first ask yourself, what do I already know about this situation? What can I learn or research? What is the next reasonable, logical step I can take? These introspective questions strengthen your ability to trust your own judgment and to innovate solutions from within. Consider Logan Pierce, an elementary school principal who was widely respected by his staff for his kindness and dedication. Privately, however, he doubted nearly every important decision he made. Whenever a significant challenge arose, a new curriculum to implement, a disciplinary issue, a budget cut, he would immediately call colleagues for advice, search for endless opinions online, and delay action because he feared making the wrong choice. His uncertainty often created more stress and inefficiency than the original problem itself. One summer, after attending a leadership retreat focused on self-efficacy, Logan decided to change a simple but profound habit. Before asking anyone else for advice, he forced himself to write down his own proposed solution first. He carefully listed the facts, considered possible outcomes, and articulated what he believed was the wisest course of action. Only after doing this did he seek additional perspectives if needed. Within months, something unexpected happened. He realized that his first judgment was often thoughtful, balanced, and remarkably sound. He still welcomed advice and collaboration, but he no longer depended on it to believe in himself. The confidence he gained did not come from always being right. It came from learning that he was perfectly capable of thinking clearly and decisively on his own. Logan's story reminds us that confidence is not a mystical quality bestowed upon a select few. It is built, brick by brick, through repeated acts of self-trust and independent action. Every time you solve a problem instead of avoiding it, you strengthen your inner foundation. Every difficult conversation you face with honesty, every decision you make with integrity, and every obstacle you overcome becomes another stone in the solid structure of your character. No one else can build that essential structure for you. There will be moments when standing alone feels uncomfortable, even isolating. You may hold an opinion that others vehemently disagree with. You may choose a path that few people understand or support. You may decide to protect your peace and boundaries instead of pleasing everyone around you. During those moments, remember that popularity and wisdom are not always found together, and indeed, sometimes diverge dramatically. Many worthwhile decisions, many acts of true integrity, require the courage to walk a different road, to stand firm in your truth before anyone else recognizes its value. Training yourself to stand alone also means becoming emotionally steady and self-regulated. Praise should encourage you, but it should not control you. Criticism should teach you when it is fair and constructive, but it should not define you or shatter your self-worth. Success should humble you and inspire gratitude, and failure should instruct you and build resilience, but neither should become your entire identity. When your emotional balance depends entirely on changing external circumstances, the whims of others, the fluctuations of the market, the unpredictable turns of life, you will constantly be pulled in different directions, adrift on a sea of external validation. Her strength comes from building your identity on core values that remain steady and unwavering, regardless of what happens around you. As you continue mastering the art of being alone, remember that self-reliance is not about proving you never need anyone. It is about becoming someone who can remain calm, thoughtful, and resilient, whether surrounded by people or standing quietly by yourself. The stronger your inner foundation becomes, the more freely and authentically you can love others without depending on them to complete you. In the end, the person who learns to stand alone does not become isolated or hardened. Instead, they become deeply rooted, quietly confident, and prepared to face life's inevitable challenges with a strength that cannot easily be shaken. They become a beacon of stability, both for themselves and for those they cherish. Chapter 7. Sit with your emotions until they teach you. Every emotion arrives with a message, a piece of vital information about your inner world and your experience of reality. Joy reminds you of what brings life meaning and connection. Fear warns you to pay attention, to assess potential threats or challenges. Anger often points towards something that feels unfair, a boundary crossed, or an injustice perceived. Sadness slows you down, creating space long enough to acknowledge what has been lost or needs healing. Yet, many people spend their lives trying to silence these emotions, to push them away, instead of understanding what they are trying to communicate. The moment discomfort appears, they instinctively look for a distraction. They turn on the television, scroll through their phones, fill their schedules, or search for anything that will help them avoid feeling what is happening inside. But emotions that are ignored rarely disappear. They simply wait for another opportunity, often intensifying, to be heard. One of the greatest gifts of solitude is that it gives your emotions the essential room to speak. When the noise of the world fades, when distractions are intentionally put aside, you begin to notice what has been quietly living beneath the surface of your awareness. At first, this can feel intensely uncomfortable, even frightening. You may discover worries you have been carrying for months, disappointments you never fully processed, or fears you have successfully hidden behind constant busyness. It is tempting, in these moments, to push them away once again, to re-engage with distraction. But real, lasting peace is not created by avoiding difficult emotions. It is created by understanding them, by allowing them to surface, and by learning from their messages. Imagine a child trying desperately to get a parent's attention. The more the parent ignores or dismisses the child, the louder, more demanding, and more persistent the child becomes. Emotions often behave in much the same way. The more you refuse to acknowledge or address them, the more powerfully they demand your attention, often manifesting as anxiety, irritability, or persistent sadness. Anxiety grows stronger when you refuse to examine its underlying causes. Unaddressed anger can fester into bitterness and resentment. Grief lingers longer, yet more painfully, when you pretend it does not exist or suppress its expression. Listening to your emotions does not make them stronger or more overwhelming. In fact, it often makes them calmer, more manageable, and less demanding because they no longer have to fight so hard to be noticed. This does not mean believing everything you feel or allowing every emotion to dictate your actions. Emotions are real, they are valid, but they are not always reliable guides. Feeling afraid does not always mean you are in immediate danger. Feeling discouraged does not mean you are inherently incapable. Feeling rejected does not mean you are unworthy of love. Your emotions deserve your compassionate attention, but they should not become your master. Their profound purpose is to inform you, to provide data about your internal state and external circumstances, not to control you blindly. One of the healthiest habits you can develop is learning to pause before reacting. Someone says something hurtful, and your first impulse is to respond immediately, perhaps with anger or defensiveness. A disappointing email arrives, and you feel ready to assume the worst, spiraling into negativity. An unexpected setback appears, and your mind immediately begins imagining endless problems and catastrophic outcomes. In those moments, create a small, intentional space between the intense emotion and your automatic response. That space may last only a few seconds, but it can change the outcome of an entire day, or even an entire relationship. Inside that pause, ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way? What response would make me proud tomorrow? A response aligned with my values and long-term well-being. These simple, reflective questions help transform raw emotion into quiet wisdom. Instead of becoming trapped inside the feeling, you begin observing it. You stop saying, I am an angry person, and instead say, I am experiencing anger. That small change in language matters immensely because it reminds you that emotions are visitors. They come, they stay for a while, and eventually, they leave. They are experiences you have, not identities you must carry forever. Patience is absolutely essential during this process. We often expect uncomfortable emotions to disappear quickly, to be neatly resolved, but healing, whether physical or emotional, rarely follows a convenient schedule. Just as a physical wound requires time, care, and rest to recover, emotional wounds need space, honesty, and compassionate attention. Some days you will feel strong and clear. Other days, old memories or unresolved feelings may return unexpectedly, surfacing from the depths. This does not mean you are moving backward or failing. It simply means you are human, and the healing process is unfolding naturally. Growth is rarely a straight line. It is a steady journey of learning, reflecting, and becoming stronger and more integrated with each step, even the ones that feel like detours. Solitude becomes especially valuable during difficult seasons of life because it allows you to truly process life instead of merely surviving it. Rather than endlessly asking, why is this happening to me? A question that often leads to victimhood. Begin asking, what is this experience teaching me? How can I grow through this? Perhaps disappointment is teaching you profound patience. Perhaps failure is revealing a weakness that needs your compassionate attention and skill development. Perhaps uncertainty is helping you discover courage and resilience you never knew you possessed. Every challenge, every difficult emotion, carries the possibility of becoming a powerful teacher if you are willing to remain present long enough to learn the lesson it offers. There is another important truth about emotions that is easy to overlook. The very emotions you resist or fear often contain the seeds of your greatest growth and transformation. Fear, when faced, can lead to genuine courage, because courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to move forward, despite it. Grief, when allowed to be felt, can deepen your compassion and empathy, because those who have suffered often understand the human experience more profoundly. Disappointment, when processed, can strengthen your resilience and resolve, because it teaches you to stand up again after life knocks you down. Your difficult emotions are not merely obstacles placed in your path. They are often an intrinsic part of the path itself, guiding you toward deeper understanding and strength. Learning to sit with your emotions also makes you infinitely more compassionate toward other people. When you understand your own struggles, your own inner battles, you become less quick to judge someone else's behavior or emotional state. You realize that everyone carries invisible burdens, private disappointments, and silent battles that never appear on the surface. This awareness softens your heart without weakening your character. You become both stronger and kinder at the same time, capable of holding space for both your own humanity and that of others. As you continue practicing the art of being alone, remember that silence is not empty. It is where your emotions finally have the chance to be understood, to be heard, rather than endlessly ignored or suppressed. Each time you sit quietly with what you feel, instead of running from it, you become a little wiser, a little calmer, and a little more resilient. Over time, you will notice that emotions no longer frighten you as they once did. They become trusted messengers rather than feared enemies. And when you learn to listen carefully to those messages without surrendering to them, you discover a quiet, unshakable strength that remains steady no matter what life places before you. Chapter 8. Refuse to measure your life against others. Comparison is one of the quietest thieves you will ever encounter. It does not knock loudly at your door or announce its arrival with fanfare. Instead, it slips into your thoughts unnoticed, a subtle, insidious habit. You see someone else's success, someone else's fulfilling relationship, someone else's beautiful home, or someone else's impressive achievements. And before long, your own life, which moments before felt perfectly content, begins to feel smaller, inadequate, or somehow lacking. Nothing around you has actually changed in your external reality. Yet, your contentment slowly, insidiously disappears, replaced by a gnawing sense of dissatisfaction. The problem is not that someone else has more. The problem is that your precious attention has shifted away from what is already yours, from the richness and uniqueness of your own journey. The habit of comparison has existed for centuries, a constant feature of human psychology, but never before has it been so relentlessly constant, so pervasive. Every day, through social media, news, and even casual conversations, you are invited to look into carefully curated, selectively presented moments from other people's lives. You see celebrations without the struggles that preceded them, victories without the failures, and smiles without the difficult unseen days that came before. It is easy, alarmingly easy, to forget that every single life contains chapters no one else sees, chapters of doubt, disappointment, fear, and private battles that never appear on the shiny surface. When you compare your complete, messy, authentic reality, your insides, to someone else's carefully presented, edited moments, their outsides, you create an unfair contest that no one can possibly win. You are comparing apples to perfectly photoshopped oranges. One of the greatest advantages of intentional solitude is that it helps you step away from this endless, exhausting competition. When you spend time alone reflecting on your own path, your own values, and your own progress, instead of constantly observing and measuring yourself against everyone else, your attention naturally returns to your own unique life. You begin asking different, more empowering questions. Instead of wondering why someone else is ahead of you, you ask whether you are becoming wiser, kinder, or more resilient than you were yesterday. Instead of measuring your worth against another person's impressive achievements, you begin measuring your growth against your own potential, against the person you aspire to become. Life was never meant to be a uniform race, or everyone reaches the same destination at the same time, or even on the same path. Consider a garden filled with different types of plants and flowers. Some bloom vibrantly in early spring. Others do not reveal their exquisite beauty until late summer or autumn. No flower competes with another, because each grows according to its own unique season, its own internal timing. Human lives are much the same. Some people find success early in their careers. Others discover their true purpose later in life. Some build families while they are young. Others spend years developing their creative pursuits or careers before taking that step. There is no universal timeline that determines the inherent value or significance of your life. Your journey is uniquely yours. Comparison also creates immense, unnecessary pressure. It convinces you subtly but persistently that you must constantly prove yourself, that you are perpetually in a state of needing to measure up. Instead of enjoying your own progress, your small victories, you become anxious about whether someone else is progressing faster or achieving more. Even genuine achievements lose their intrinsic joy because they are immediately measured, consciously or unconsciously, against someone else's accomplishments. A goal that once filled you with excitement suddenly feels insignificant simply because another person reached a different, seemingly higher milestone. This way of thinking makes lasting satisfaction almost impossible, because there will always be someone who appears richer, more talented, more attractive, or more accomplished, especially in a world designed to highlight exceptionalism. Consider Samantha Rhodes, an interior designer who, early in her career, found immense joy and creative satisfaction in transforming ordinary spaces into beautiful, functional homes. Every project, no matter how small, was a source of pride. But as her business grew, she began spending more and more time watching other designers online, endlessly scrolling through their portfolios and social media feeds. Every award someone else received felt like her own personal failure. Every luxurious, high-profile project posted by another designer made her question whether she was successful enough, talented enough, or achieving enough. The creative work she once loved became a constant source of self-doubt and anxious comparison. Eventually, Samantha recognized that she had stopped designing homes and had started competing with strangers, losing herself in the process. She decided to make a simple but profound change. Instead of beginning each morning by looking at what everyone else was doing, She spent the first hour reviewing her own project goals, sketching new design ideas, and studying architectural and design techniques she genuinely wanted to master. Slowly, her focus returned to craftsmanship, creativity, and the unique needs of her clients, instead of external comparison. Her creativity improved, her confidence returned, and she once again found deep joy in helping her clients create beautiful spaces, rather than trying to impress an anonymous online audience. Samantha's story reminds us that comparison does not only steal happiness, it also steals precious attention and energy. Every minute spent worrying about another person's journey, every moment lost in the vortex of social media envy, is a minute that could have been invested in your own growth, your own creative pursuits, your own well-being. Your greatest opportunities, your deepest insights, and your most authentic contributions rarely appear while you are watching someone else's life unfold. They appear while you are fully engaged, mindfully and intentionally, in your own. Gratitude is one of the strongest and most effective antidotes to comparison. It is fundamentally impossible to genuinely appreciate what you already have while constantly focusing on what you perceive yourself to lack. Each day offers countless reasons to be thankful: the warmth of a loving relationship, the comfort of a safe home, the opportunity to learn and grow, the simple blessing of good health. But these blessings often go unnoticed because the mind is frantically searching for something bigger, something external, something else. When you deliberately notice the progress you have made, the lessons you have learned, the relationships you cherish, and the unique strengths you have developed, your perspective begins to change profoundly. Gratitude reminds you that your life is already filled with gifts and treasures that comparison has been hiding from your view. It is also incredibly helpful to remember that another person's success does not, in any way, reduce your own possibilities or potential. Success is not a limited resource, a finite pie that one person must lose for another to gain. Someone else's achievement can inspire you, can light a path, without diminishing your own worth or capacity. Instead of asking, "Why them? Why not me?" begin asking, "What can I learn from their example? What wisdom can I glean from their journey?" That small shift transforms corrosive jealousy into constructive motivation and bitter envy into empowering wisdom. As you continue mastering the art of being alone, give yourself permission to step away from the endless, external scoreboard the world constantly presents. Your life is not meant to be lived through constant, anxiety-inducing comparison. It is meant to be lived with intention, gratitude, and steady personal growth, guided by your own unique compass. The only person you truly need to surpass, to be better than, is the person you were yesterday. When you refuse to measure your life against others, you gain something far more valuable than a fleeting victory over another person. You gain the profound freedom to become the fullest, most authentic expression of yourself, moving at your own unique pace, guided by your own deeply held values, and content with the distinctive, unrepeatable path that belongs to you alone. Chapter 9. Choose depth over constant distraction. The modern world has become remarkably adept at keeping you occupied, perhaps even overoccupied. Every spare moment, every interstitial space in your day, can be filled with a notification, a breaking headline, a captivating video, or another task, demanding your attention. If you stand in line for 2 minutes, you instinctively reach for your phone. If you sit quietly for a few moments, you feel an almost irresistible urge to check something, to scroll, to engage. Little by little, constant distraction becomes so normalized, so ingrained, that genuine stillness begins to feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. Yet a busy mind is not always, or even often, fulfilled mind. There is a profound difference between being constantly occupied and living with genuine purpose and presence. Distraction is undeniably attractive because it asks very little of you. It entertains without requiring reflection. It fills time without asking difficult questions or demanding deep engagement. It offers quick, superficial satisfaction without requiring lasting growth or effort. There is certainly nothing wrong with enjoying moments of light entertainment, relaxation, or passive consumption. The problem begins when distraction becomes your default response to every quiet moment, every uncomfortable feeling, every mental lull. When that happens, You systematically lose the invaluable opportunity to think deeply, to learn patiently, to understand yourself more completely, and to genuinely connect with the richness of your own life. Depth begins precisely where distraction ends. It is found in giving your full, undivided attention to one meaningful thing, instead of fragmenting and dividing your attention among many unimportant ones. Think about the conversations that have stayed with you over the years, ones that truly impacted you. They were probably not rushed or superficial. They were thoughtful, honest, unhurried, and deeply engaging. The same principle applies to every important part of life. Meaning grows where attention remains. Imagine trying to see the bottom of a clear lake, while someone continuously throws stones into the water. The surface never becomes still enough to reveal what lies beneath. Your mind works in much the same way. Every unnecessary interruption, every shift in attention, creates another ripple, another disturbance. When your thoughts are constantly interrupted, when your focus is perpetually fragmented, it becomes exceedingly difficult to see clearly, to connect ideas, to grasp complex concepts. Decisions become rushed, creativity weakens, and even simple pleasures lose their richness because your attention is always somewhere else, perpetually elsewhere. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself in this frenetic age is the ability to focus completely, to bring your entire self to a single task or experience. When you read a book without checking your phone every few minutes, you understand more, you retain more, you absorb more profoundly. When you listen carefully during a conversation, instead of planning your next response, relationships become deeper, more authentic, and more meaningful. When you work with complete focused concentration, your results improve dramatically, while your stress often decreases, replaced by a sense of flow and accomplishment. Depth is not simply about doing more. It is about experiencing life more fully, more richly, more meaningfully. Many people believe they need more hours in the day to accomplish their goals or find peace. In reality, they often need fewer distractions within the hours they already have. Time is valuable, but attention is even more valuable, because attention determines how you experience time. An hour spent fully engaged in something meaningful often feels incredibly rewarding, leaving you with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. While an hour lost to mindless distraction often leaves you feeling drained, fragmented, and wondering where the time went. This is one crucial reason why solitude is so powerful. It creates the optimal conditions where deep thinking, focused creation, and profound self-discovery become possible. Away from constant interruptions, your mind begins connecting ideas that once seemed unrelated. Problems that appeared impossible suddenly reveal simple, elegant solutions. Questions you have carried for weeks begin finding surprising, intuitive answers. These discoveries rarely happen because you forced them. They happen because your mind finally has enough quiet, enough stillness, to work naturally, intuitively, and profoundly. Choosing depth also fundamentally changes the way you learn. Instead of merely collecting endless pieces of information, you begin searching for genuine understanding, for wisdom. It is easy to know many facts. It is much harder, and infinitely more valuable, to develop deep wisdom. Wisdom comes from reflecting on what you learn, testing it through experience, allowing it to challenge your assumptions, and letting it deeply shape your character. Reading one meaningful chapter and thinking about it for an hour often teaches more, and sticks with you longer, than reading an entire book without any reflection or internalization. This principle extends beyond learning into your relationships as well. A few genuine, deep friendships are often infinitely more valuable and sustaining than hundreds of shallow acquaintances or fleeting online connections. One honest, vulnerable conversation can strengthen a relationship more than dozens of brief, superficial exchanges. The same is true for family. Being fully present, truly listening, and engaging mindfully for a short period often means more than spending hours together while your attention remains elsewhere, fragmented by devices. Depth transforms ordinary moments into lasting, cherished memories, because people remember how deeply you listened, how fully you were present, not merely how many words you spoke. There's also a quiet, undeniable confidence that comes from slowing down, from choosing depth over speed. when you stop rushing from one distraction to another, when you consciously disengage from the frantic pace of modern life, you become more intentional in everything you do. You choose your words more carefully. You make decisions with greater wisdom and foresight. You notice details that hurried, distracted people consistently overlook. A beautiful sunrise, the genuine laughter of a loved one, the peaceful rhythm of your own breathing, the intricate design of a leaf. These simple, profound experiences often pass unnoticed when your attention is scattered. Yet they become sources of quiet joy, deep connection, and profound meaning when you truly observe them, when you are fully present for them. Choosing depth requires a certain kind of courage, because the world often rewards speed, immediacy, and constant busyness. It praises those who respond instantly, stay constantly connected, and appear endlessly occupied. But busyness is not the same as significance. A meaningful, fulfilling life is rarely built through constant motion alone. It is built through thoughtful action, guided by clear values, and experienced with intentional presence. Every time you choose to be fully present instead of endlessly distracted, you strengthen your ability to live intentionally, authentically, and profoundly. As you continue practicing the art of being alone, begin protecting your attention as carefully as you protect your time. Give yourself generous permission to read slowly, to think deeply, to walk quietly in nature, and to simply observe the world around you, without feeling the incessant need to document, share, or react to every moment. Let silence replace unnecessary noise. Let reflection replace constant impulsive reaction. Let purpose replace endless, unexamined activity. In the end, your life will not be measured by how many distractions you consumed, or how busy you appeared to be. It will be profoundly shaped by what received your deepest, most sacred attention. The thoughts you carefully considered, the relationships you genuinely nurtured, the values you faithfully lived by, and the quiet moments you fully experienced will become the true foundation, the quiet architecture, of a deeply meaningful life. When you choose depth over constant distraction, you are not withdrawing from the world, you are finally learning how to live fully within it, with clarity, presence, and profound, unshakable peace. Chapter 10. Depend less on circumstances. Life has a way of changing without asking for your permission. A promising opportunity may disappear overnight. A carefully planned future may take an unexpected, jarring turn. Relationships evolve. Careers shift unexpectedly. Health changes, and seasons of certainty often give way to seasons of profound uncertainty. If your inner peace, your sense of well-being, depends entirely on favorable circumstances, then your peace will always remain fragile, vulnerable, and easily shattered. But if your peace is deeply rooted within you, in the core of your being, then external circumstances may shake your plans, disrupt your routines, and challenge your expectations without ever truly shaking your spirit. Many people spend years believing they will finally be happy, when everything around them falls perfectly into place. They tell themselves, "Once I get the right job, I will finally feel secure. Once I earn more money, I will stop worrying about finances. Once I find the perfect relationship, I will finally feel complete and loved." These goals are not inherently wrong. There is nothing wrong with working toward a better life, striving for improvement. The fundamental problem begins when genuine happiness and lasting peace are constantly postponed until every external condition is satisfied. Life, in its beautiful, chaotic essence, rarely offers perfect conditions, and even if it did, those perfect conditions would not last forever. Change is the only constant. Think about the weather. Some days are bright, calm, and exquisitely beautiful. Others bring heavy rain, strong winds, or even unexpected storms. You would never expect the sky to remain clear and sunny every single day. Yet, many people unconsciously expect their lives to unfold without disappointment, difficulty, or unexpected challenges. When challenges inevitably appear, they conclude that something has gone terribly wrong, that they are being uniquely targeted. In reality, change is not an interruption of life. It is one of life's permanent, undeniable features. It is the very fabric of existence. The sooner you accept this profound truth, the less power unexpected events, setbacks, and changes will have over your peace of mind and your sense of self. One of the greatest benefits of solitude, of spending intentional time alone, is that it teaches you to find stability in something deeper, more enduring, than your immediate surroundings or transient circumstances. When you spend time alone reflecting on your core values, your character, and your internal compass, instead of constantly reacting to external events, you begin to realize that your character is far more dependable, far more robust than your ever-changing circumstances. Your honesty remains yours whether you succeed or fail. Your kindness does not disappear because someone criticizes you. Your patience, integrity, and courage travel with you wherever life takes you, through every triumph and every tribulation. These internal qualities become your true source of stability, your unshakable foundation, because they cannot be taken away by changing conditions, by economic downturns, by shifting social opinions, or by the caprice of fate. This way of thinking fundamentally transforms the way you face difficulties. Instead of helplessly asking, "Why is this happening to me?" a question that often leads to feeling powerless and victimized, focusing solely on events you cannot control, you begin asking, "How can I respond to this?" with wisdom, resilience, and integrity. What is within my control right now? The first question leaves you feeling trapped and helpless. The second question immediately reminds you that while circumstances may be beyond your control, your response to those circumstances never is. That single shift from victimhood to agency changes everything. It turns setbacks into invaluable opportunities to practice resilience, to hone your inner strength, instead of allowing them to become reasons to surrender hope or succumb to despair. Consider Garrett Nolan, a commercial pilot who had spent more than 3 decades flying across the country, his life defined by precision, routine, and a clear sense of purpose. His career gave him structure, daily challenges, and constant interaction with people he respected. When mandatory retirement finally arrived, he expected to revel in the newfound freedom, to finally relax. Instead, he found himself feeling profoundly restless, adrift, and disoriented. Without his familiar routine, his uniform, and the identity he built around his profession, he questioned who he was. The uniform was gone. The rigorous schedule had disappeared. The sense of belonging to a vital, disciplined community felt uncertain. For several months, Garrett frantically searched for ways to fill the empty space. He kept himself busy with new hobbies and social engagements, but the gnawing feeling of restlessness remained. Then one morning, while sitting quietly on his back porch, watching the sunrise, he asked himself a different, more powerful question. Instead of dwelling on what he had lost, he began asking, "What kind of man do I still want to become, regardless of my career? What virtues do I want to cultivate?" That question changed everything. He started reading history books he postponed for years, volunteered at a local aviation museum to mentor young pilots, sharing his vast experience, and developed a daily routine of long walks and quiet reflection. His purpose was no longer tied solely to his career. It was now deeply rooted in the person he chose to be each day, in his character, in his contributions, in his continued learning. Retirement had changed his circumstances, but it no longer controlled his sense of identity or his inner peace. Garrett's story reminds us that life will always ask us to adapt, pivot, to release old forms. Jobs end, children grow up and leave home, friends move away, dreams evolve or are redefined. If your identity and happiness depend entirely on external circumstances, then every change will feel like losing a part of yourself, a painful amputation. But when your identity is grounded in your character, your values, and your inner strength, change becomes something you navigate with wisdom and resilience, rather than something that defines or shatters you. This does not mean pretending that disappointment does not hurt, or that loss is not real. Difficult moments deserve honest emotions. Loss is a real part of the human experience, and uncertainty can be genuinely unsettling. The goal is not to become emotionally numb or stoic to the point of detachment. The goal is to remember that your present situation, no matter how challenging, is not the final chapter of your story. Circumstances describe where you are today, the current landscape of your life, but they do not, and never should, determine who you can become tomorrow. One powerful habit cultivated in solitude, is to begin each day by focusing on what remains within your control. You cannot control the opinions of others, the global economy, the unpredictable weather, or unexpected external events, but you can absolutely choose your attitude. You can choose your effort. You can choose your words, your habits, and your unwavering integrity. These choices may seem small, almost insignificant, yet repeated consistently day after day, they gradually build a life that is less dependent on outside conditions and more profoundly grounded in inner strength, agency, and self-possession. As you continue mastering the art of being alone, remember that solitude teaches one of life's greatest, most liberating lessons. Peace is an inside job. The quieter your mind becomes, the more clearly you recognize that lasting happiness does not come from endlessly arranging perfect external circumstances. It comes from developing a steady character, a resilient spirit that remains faithful to its core values through every season of life. When success arrives, welcome it with gratitude and humility, rather than pride or entitlement. When hardship appears, meet it with patience, courage, and a calm resolve, rather than despair. Let changing circumstances shape your experience, teach you lessons, refine your resolve, but never ever allow them to define your identity or diminish your inherent worth. The strongest people are not those who miraculously avoid life's storms. They are those who carry an unshakable calm, a steady internal light, through them. And that calm is built, one quiet, intentional day at a time, by learning to depend less on what happens around you, and more on the profound strength that quietly, persistently grows within you. Chapter 11. Discover the freedom of wanting less. One of the quietest forms of freedom is rarely celebrated, often overlooked in our consumer-driven society. It is the profound freedom that comes when you no longer believe you need more in order to be enough. Modern life constantly whispers, through advertising, social media, and societal pressure, that happiness is waiting just beyond the next purchase, the next promotion, the next achievement, or the next possession. There is always another goal to chase, another standard to reach, another milestone to acquire. While ambition has its place, a life built entirely on the relentless pursuit of more can quickly become a life where satisfaction is always postponed, perpetually just out of reach. The finish line keeps moving, and genuine peace remains an elusive mirage. The art of being alone teaches a profoundly different and far more liberating lesson. It reminds you that true contentment is not found by endlessly adding to your life, but by learning to deeply appreciate what is already present, what you already have. This does not mean giving up on your dreams or refusing to improve yourself. Growth, learning, and contribution are beautiful, essential parts of a meaningful life. The fundamental difference lies in your motivation. Do you pursue success and growth because you are already whole, already enough, and want to contribute more, to experience more, to become more? Or do you pursue it because you believe it is the only thing that can finally make you feel complete, validated, or worthy? Those are two very different journeys, leading to very different internal states. Wanting less is not about lowering your standards or settling for mediocrity. On the contrary, it is about raising your awareness, sharpening your perception, and redefining what truly constitutes richness in life. It is realizing that many of the things you chase every day bring only temporary excitement, a fleeting high that quickly dissipates. While the things that genuinely enrich your life, that nourish your soul and sustain your peace, often cost very little, sometimes nothing at all. A peaceful morning before the world wakes up, observing the sunrise with a sense of quiet wonder, a meaningful, unhurried conversation with someone you trust deeply. The profound satisfaction of finishing a good book, its ideas resonating within you. The simple feeling of walking outdoors with no destination except to enjoy the fresh air and the rhythm of your own steps. These moments rarely attract attention or garner applause. They lack quietly, consistently nourish the soul and deepen your experience of life. When you spend intentional time alone, free from external pressures and societal expectations, you begin to notice how little is actually required for a truly fulfilling and rich day. Solitude removes many of the subtle pressures that encourage unnecessary comparison and mindless consumption. You stop buying things simply to impress people or keep up with trends. You stop frantically filling your schedule simply to appear busy or important. Instead, you begin asking a much better, more discerning question. Does this truly add value to my life, align with my values, or bring me genuine joy? That single question has the power to simplify and clarify almost every area of your life, from your possessions to your commitments. Think about your home for a moment. Imagine every room filled with so much furniture, so many objects, that you can barely move freely. Even beautiful, valuable things lose their appeal and utility when there are simply too many of them, creating clutter and chaos. The mind works in much the same way. Too many commitments create overwhelming stress and fatigue. Too many possessions create responsibility, maintenance, and anxiety. Too many distractions create mental confusion and fragmented attention. Simplicity, by contrast, creates space, and space allows peace, clarity, and true living to grow and flourish. This principle extends far beyond material possessions. Sometimes the things you need to release are invisible, intangible burdens. Old resentments, unnecessary guilt, unrealistic expectations of yourself and others, and constant worry occupy immense emotional and mental space that could be used for gratitude, hope, creativity, and love. Holding on to these internal burdens does not make you stronger. It only makes your journey heavier, your spirit more weary. Learning to let go, to release what no longer serves you, is often just as important, if not more so, than learning to acquire. Many people fear simplicity because they mistakenly equate it with emptiness, with a lack of stimulation or excitement. In reality, simplicity makes abundant room for what truly matters, for the experiences that genuinely enrich life. A calendar with fewer unnecessary obligations gives you more precious time for meaningful relationships, for personal growth, for quiet reflection. A quieter mind allows for better decisions, clearer insights, and deeper understanding. A life with fewer distractions makes it infinitely easier to notice the beauty and wonder that was always there, but often overlooked in the clamor. Simplicity is not the absence of richness. It is the strategic removal of everything that prevents you from experiencing it fully. There is also a deep intrinsic confidence that grows when you stop tying your happiness and self-worth to possessions, status, or external achievements. If your joy depends on owning more than everyone else, or being more successful than your peers, you will always feel vulnerable, always insecure, because there will always be someone with more, someone achieving more. But if your joy comes from your values, your character, your contributions, and your profound appreciation for life itself, then very little can truly take it away. You become difficult to impress because you are also difficult to disappoint. You recognize that your inherent worth cannot be purchased, displayed, or compared. It simply is. Wanting less also changes the way you experience success and achievement. Success no longer becomes a desperate, anxious attempt to prove yourself or fill an inner void. Instead, it transforms into an opportunity to express your abilities, to grow your talents, and to serve others through your work. You can celebrate achievements without becoming enslaved by them. You can enjoy comfort and abundance without believing that comfort is the ultimate purpose of life. You begin to own your possessions and your achievements instead of allowing your possessions and achievements to own you. You become the master of your external life, not its slave. Gratitude, as we have discussed, becomes the natural, inevitable companion of simplicity. Every day offers countless small gifts that are easy to miss when your attention is fixed on what is missing or what you still desire. The warmth of sunlight through a window, the soothing sound of rain on the roof, the comfort of a familiar chair, the genuine laughter of someone you love, the quiet satisfaction of ending the day with a clear conscience. These moments, often deemed ordinary, remind you that life's greatest, most profound treasures are often found in the simplest, most everyday experiences. The person who learns to notice and appreciate them becomes rich in a way that cannot be measured by numbers, only by the depth of their inner peace. As you continue practicing the art of being alone, remember that solitude has a remarkable way of separating genuine needs from fleeting wants. In the quiet, away from the constant pressure of external messages, many desires lose their urgency, their appeal. You begin seeing clearly which pursuits truly align with your deepest values and your authentic self, and which were simply borrowed from the expectations of the world around you. This clarity is a precious gift because it allows you to spend your limited energy and attention on what genuinely matters, on what truly enriches your life, instead of chasing what merely looks impressive or glamorous. The freedom of wanting less is not a life of limitation. It is a life of profound liberation. It frees you from the exhausting, never-ending belief that happiness is always somewhere else, always just out of reach. It invites you to discover that peace, contentment, and joy have been available all along, hidden beneath unnecessary noise, endless comparison, and constant striving. When you learn to appreciate enough, when you redefine sufficiency, you stop living as though life is always waiting to begin. You begin living fully, richly, and authentically today, with a grateful heart, an uncluttered mind, and the quiet confidence that what truly matters can never be bought or acquired, only lived, experienced, and deeply cherished. Chapter 12. Guard your inner peace. Every day, peace is not something you discover once and keep forever, like a treasure hidden away. It is something you cultivate, protect, and actively choose day after day through the choices you make, the boundaries you set, and the habits you practice. Just as a beautiful garden requires regular care, weeding, and tending to remain healthy and vibrant, your inner peace requires consistent attention if it is to continue growing and flourishing. Neglect it for too long, and worry, resentment, unnecessary commitments, and endless distractions begin to spread like tenacious weeds. They do not arrive all at once in a dramatic invasion. They appear quietly, subtly, one small unexamined habit at a time, until you suddenly look around and wonder why your mind feels so heavy, so cluttered, so restless. Many people mistakenly believe that peace depends entirely on finding the perfect external environment. They imagine that if they could just live in a quieter place, earn more money, work with easier people, or magically eliminate every problem from their lives, then they would finally feel calm and content. Yet, there are countless people living in seemingly peaceful, idyllic neighborhoods who carry profoundly restless minds, tormented by internal anxieties. And conversely, there were remarkable individuals facing incredibly difficult circumstances who remain remarkably composed, resilient, and centered. This tells us something profoundly important. While your surroundings certainly influence you and your well-being, they do not have the final, definitive word on your peace. Lasting peace is cultivated and protected from the inside out before it is ever truly experienced on the outside. One of the greatest, yet often overlooked, threats to inner peace is the pervasive habit of saying yes too often. Some people agree to almost every request because they fear disappointing others, fear being perceived as unhelpful or selfish. They accept responsibilities they cannot reasonably manage. They fill every empty space in their calendar until there is no room left to rest, reflect, create, or simply breathe. At first, this impulse feels generous, altruistic, even noble. Over time, however, it becomes utterly exhausting, depleting your energy, time, and spirit. A life without healthy boundaries slowly but surely becomes a life controlled by other people's priorities, demands, and expectations, instead of being guided by your own values, needs, and well-being. Learning to say no is not an act of selfishness. It is, in fact, an essential act of self-preservation, of wisdom, and of integrity. Every time you say yes to something unnecessary, something that does not align with your deepest values or capacity, you are implicitly saying no to something else that may be far more important to your long-term peace and purpose. You may be saying no to your physical health, your family, your precious quiet time, your personal growth, or your very peace of mind. Wise people understand that every commitment, every agreement, carries a cost in time, energy, and mental space. They choose carefully, discerningly, because they know their time and energy are limited, sacred resources. Consider Claire Whitmore, a corporate attorney, whose reputation for reliability and diligence made her the first person everyone called when they needed help. She routinely accepted extra projects at work, volunteered for numerous community events, and rarely turned down a favor from friends or family. From the outside, she appeared incredibly successful, dependable, and indispensable, but privately, she was constantly exhausted, feeling overwhelmed and resentful. Her evenings disappeared into unfinished work, weekends became mere extensions of the office. Even precious moments with her family were frequently interrupted by demanding emails and urgent phone calls. She convinced herself that saying yes to everything was the only way to prove her value, to maintain her standing. Eventually, Claire realized that the life she was building left no room for the person she wanted to become, a person who was calm, present, and genuinely joyful. She began making small but significant changes. She stopped accepting every request immediately, and instead gave herself time to think, to consult her own capacity and priorities before responding. She asked whether each commitment truly aligned with her deepest values or long-term goals. Sometimes she politely declined. Other times she suggested someone else, who might be a better fit, or who had more capacity. At first, she worried people would think less of her, that her reputation would suffer. Instead, something surprising happened. Most people respected her honesty and clarity, and those who truly valued her continued to do so, understanding her need for balance. More importantly, Claire regained something she had almost forgotten: time to think, to rest, to engage meaningfully, and to simply enjoy her own life. Claire's story reminds us that protecting your peace often requires quiet courage. Not everyone will understand or appreciate your boundaries, especially if they have benefited from your previous lack of them. But you cannot build a meaningful, fulfilling life by trying to satisfy every expectation placed upon you by others. Your primary responsibility is not to please everyone. It is to live faithfully, authentically, and intentionally, according to your deepest values and your own well-being. Another vital way to guard your peace is to become more selective about what you allow into your mind. Just as you would not invite every stranger into your home, you should not allow every opinion, every piece of negative news, every trivial argument, or every anxiety-inducing social media post to occupy your precious thoughts. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending problems do not exist. It means recognizing that your attention is a sacred and valuable resource. What you repeatedly consume and focus on shapes the way you think, and the way you think profoundly shapes the way you live and experience the world. Mindful consumption of information is a powerful act of self-care. It is also important to protect your peace from unnecessary conflict. Not every disagreement deserves your participation or engagement. Some arguments, when handled constructively, can lead to deeper understanding and growth. But many others simply drain your energy, foster resentment, and change absolutely nothing of substance. Wisdom includes knowing the difference, discerning which battles are truly yours to fight and which are better left alone. Sometimes the strongest, most peaceful response is not speaking louder or proving your point, but choosing silence, choosing to disengage with grace. Sometimes preserving your inner peace is far more valuable than winning a debate that leaves everyone resentful and exhausted. Daily habits also play a quiet but powerful role in protecting your inner world. A few minutes of quiet reflection or meditation before the day begins, and prepare your mind for whatever lies ahead, helping you respond proactively rather than reactively. A walk in the fresh air, mindfully experiencing nature, can restore perspective and calm your nervous system after hours of intense work. Reading a few thoughtful pages of a book before bed can calm a restless mind far more effectively than another hour of endless scrolling or passive television consumption. Small, consistent habits, repeated day after day, become the invisible, yet incredibly robust, foundation of a peaceful, centered life. As you continue mastering the art of being alone, remember that peace is not something to search for only after life becomes difficult, as a reactive measure. It is something to cultivate before the storms arrive, as a proactive investment. Every healthy boundary you establish, every unnecessary distraction you remove, every thoughtful habit you practice, and every peaceful moment you protect adds another layer of resilience to your ability to remain calm, centered, and discerning when life inevitably becomes uncertain. In the end, your inner peace is one of your greatest treasures. It profoundly influences your decisions, your relationships, your health, and your overall happiness. Protect it with the same care and vigilance you would give anything truly precious. Because once you learn to guard your peace every day, you will discover that the world may continue changing, tumultuous and unpredictable, around you. But there is a quiet, steady place within you that remains unshaken, welcoming, and profoundly at peace. Chapter 13. Build life that feels complete. There comes a moment in every meaningful journey when you stop frantically searching for the missing piece and begin to realize, with a profound sense of calm, that your life was never meant to be completed by something or someone outside of you. This realization does not happen all at once in a sudden flash of insight. It grows quietly, steadily, through the intentional choices you make, the hard-earned lessons you learn, and, most importantly, the deepening relationship you build with yourself. You begin to understand that a complete life is not a perfect life. Perfection is an elusive myth. Instead, it is a life that remains firmly grounded in purpose, consistently guided by deeply held values, and powerfully strengthened by an inner peace that persists regardless of what changes around it. For much of life, it is easy to believe that true happiness and fulfillment always live somewhere in the future, perpetually just out of reach. We tell ourselves that everything will finally make sense, that we will finally feel truly content after one more achievement, one more promotion, one more relationship, or one more significant milestone. While these experiences can certainly add richness, joy, and meaning to life, they cannot, by themselves, create the foundational bedrock of lasting fulfillment. A sturdy foundation must be built, meticulously and intentionally, before anything truly lasting or significant can stand upon it. And that foundation, as we have explored throughout this audiobook, is your character, your inner world. Think back to everything you have explored throughout this journey. You learned to face silence instead of fearing its quiet revelations. You discovered how to become someone whose own company brings comfort, growth, and joy, rather than discomfort or restlessness. You learned to listen intently beneath the relentless noise of the external world, to discern your authentic inner voice. You recognized the crucial importance of stopping asking the world to define your worth, understanding that external opinions change while character remains. You learned to fill your solitude with meaning, purpose, and enriching activities, rather than allowing it to be an empty void. You trained yourself to stand firmly on your own values, to be self-reliant, even when it felt challenging. You practiced sitting with your emotions, allowing them to teach you, instead of running from their messages. You consciously released the burdensome habit of comparison, choosing gratitude instead. You chose depth over constant, distracting superficiality. You learned to depend less on unpredictable external circumstances and more on your internal resilience. You discovered the profound freedom of wanting less, of appreciating enough, and you committed to guarding your inner peace every single day as your most precious possession. None of these lessons exist in isolation. Together they weave a tapestry, shaping a coherent, powerful way of living. Imagine building a magnificent house. No one typically admires the foundation, as it remains hidden beneath the surface, unseen. Visitors notice the beautiful rooms, the elegant windows, the intricate design, the luxurious finishes. Yet without a strong, meticulously constructed foundation, none of those visible, admired features would remain standing for long. Your inner life works in precisely the same way. People may admire your visible achievements, your external confidence, or your outward success. But all of those things become unstable, fragile, and ultimately unsustainable if they are not supported by an invisible foundation of honesty, discipline, gratitude, patience, integrity, and profound self-respect. The strongest, most resilient, most truly complete lives are always built from the inside out. Living a complete life also means fully accepting that no one else can live it for you. Other people can encourage you, inspire you, and walk beside you as cherished companions. But they cannot think your thoughts, make your choices, feel your feelings, or fundamentally shape your character. Those profound responsibilities, those acts of creation, belong entirely and exclusively to you. This truth may seem demanding at first, a heavy burden to bear. Yet it is also wonderfully, profoundly empowering. If your life truly belongs to you, and so does your inherent ability to improve it, to transform it, to guide it. You are never completely powerless, because every new day offers another opportunity to choose wisdom over impulse, gratitude over complaint, courage over fear, and intentional action over passive reaction. A complete life is also, by its very nature, a balanced life. It makes room for ambition and striving, without allowing ambition to become an all-consuming obsession. It values relationships deeply without becoming emotionally dependent upon them or using them to fill an inner void. It enjoys success and external accomplishments, without measuring personal worth by success alone. It appreciates comfort and ease, without forgetting that some of life's greatest lessons, deepest insights, and most profound growth are often learned through difficulty, challenge, and struggle. Balance does not mean that every day feels easy or that conflict disappears. It means your core values, your internal compass, remain steady and unwavering, even when your external circumstances do not. Many people spend years striving to become impressive, to project an image of success and brilliance. They work hard to earn admiration from others, desperately hoping that external recognition will finally bring lasting satisfaction and internal validation. But admiration, like popularity, is fleeting. It fades quickly because it depends on changing opinions, on fickle trends. Respect, however, is different. Respect grows quietly, steadily, from consistent character, from authentic integrity. When you consistently keep your promises, treat people with genuine kindness, remain honest even when dishonesty seems easier or more advantageous, and continue growing and contributing without constantly seeking applause, you develop something far more valuable than fleeting popularity. You develop deep self-respect, a quiet, unshakable inner knowing, and self-respect is one of the few treasures that cannot be given by others or ever taken away from you. It is yours, uniquely and eternally. There is another incredibly important lesson that often becomes clear only after spending intentional time in solitude, truly listening to yourself. Life is not asking you to become someone else, to fit into a predefined mold. It is asking you to become more fully, more authentically, yourself. Too many people spend years wearing masks, performing roles, trying to fit into expectations that were never truly theirs. They hide their true values to avoid criticism, suppress their deepest dreams to avoid the possibility of failure, and silence their authentic voices to avoid standing out or causing discomfort. Yet, genuine fulfillment, deep joy, and lasting peace begin the moment you stop performing and start living with unwavering authenticity, with courageous integrity. The world does not need another imitation, however skilled. It needs the unique, irreplaceable, and powerful person you were created to become. As you continue to build a life that feels complete, remember that progress is infinitely more important than perfection. There will still be difficult days, for that is the nature of life. You will still make mistakes, experience disappointment, and occasionally lose your sense of direction, your clarity. That does not erase your growth. It does not nullify your progress. Every setback becomes another invaluable opportunity to practice the lessons you have learned, to return to your center. Every challenge becomes another chance to strengthen the character you are so diligently building. The goal has never been to avoid every struggle or eliminate every problem. The goal has always been to become the kind of person who can face those struggles, navigate those problems, with wisdom, resilience, and profound inner calm. One day, perhaps years from now, you may find yourself sitting quietly, utterly at peace, with no need to prove anything to anyone, no external agenda to fulfill. You will not be free from every problem, for challenges are an inherent part of the human condition, but you will notice something profoundly different within yourself. Your mind will be less restless, less prone to frantic distraction. Your heart will be less dependent on outside approval, less vulnerable to external opinion. Your happiness will no longer rise and fall with every shifting circumstance, every fleeting success or setback. You will genuinely enjoy the company of others without fearing solitude. You will pursue meaningful goals with passionate engagement without sacrificing your peace in the process. You will welcome each new season of life with its unique joys and challenges, with quiet confidence and profound self-possession. That truly is what it means to build a life that feels complete. It is not a destination marked by perfection or endless comfort. It is a lifelong practice, a continuous returning to what truly matters. It is choosing character over image, purpose over distraction, gratitude over comparison, and inner peace over constant, exhausting striving. When you continue making those profound choices day after day, year after year, you discover that the greatest achievement is not simply building a successful life, as the world defines it. It is building a life that feels deeply, genuinely, and unshakably your own. Chapter 14. Walk through the world whole and unshaken. Every meaningful journey eventually leads to a moment of profound realization. Not the kind that arrives with loud applause or dramatic celebration, but the kind that quietly settles into your heart, a gentle yet firm knowing. It is the realization that you no longer fear your own company. You no longer believe that your happiness depends on constant external approval, endless activity, or perfectly arranged circumstances. You have discovered something far more valuable, far more enduring. You have discovered yourself. You have forged a resilient, authentic relationship with the person you truly are. The art of being alone was never about escaping the world. It was never an invitation to isolate yourself from humanity or to believe that people do not matter. On the contrary, human connection is, unequivocally, one of life's greatest gifts. Friendships enrich us, families strengthen us, and love gives life remarkable depth and beauty. But every healthy relationship grows stronger, deeper, and more authentic when it is built by two whole people, two individuals who are already complete within themselves, instead of two people frantically searching for someone else to complete them. The strongest love is shared freely, generously, and joyfully, not offered or clung to, out of a deep-seated fear of being alone. As you have traveled through these chapters, you have gradually, deliberately, built a different way of living, a new internal architecture. You learn that silence is not empty, but profoundly full of wisdom for those willing to listen patiently. You discover that your inner conversation, the narrative you tell yourself, shapes your entire outer life. You realize that your identity cannot safely rest in other people's opinions, however well-meaning, because opinions are fleeting and change like the wind, while your character, your essence, remains. You learn that comparison steals joy, gnawing away at contentment. You understood that distractions weaken your precious attention and fragment your spirit. You discovered that unnecessary desires often hide the simple, profound happiness already within your reach, if only you choose to see it. None of these lessons stand alone, in isolation. Together, they become an integrated way of seeing the world, a powerful lens through which to experience life. Imagine carrying a lantern through a dark, winding forest. The lantern does not magically remove every obstacle from your path. It does not straighten every winding road or prevent every unexpected storm. What it does profoundly is allow you to take the next step with confidence, with clarity, with a sense of informed direction. Inner peace works in much the same way. It does not guarantee an easy life, free from challenges. It gives you enough clarity, enough inner light, to continue moving forward, wisely and bravely, even when the future is uncertain and the path is obscured. There will always be seasons you did not expect, experiences that surprise you. You may experience remarkable success that changes the trajectory of your life, or profound disappointment that tests your patience and resilience to its core. People may enter your life with kindness and joy, enriching your existence, and others may leave unexpectedly, without explanation, leaving a void. Plans may succeed beautifully, exceeding all expectations, or fall apart without warning. Through all these changing, unpredictable experiences, remember one simple, liberating truth. Your circumstances are merely chapters in your story. events that unfold. But they are not the author of your story. The author is the person you consciously choose to become through those experiences, the meaning you derive, character you forge. Walking through the world whole means carrying your values, your integrity, and your true self wherever you go, in every interaction, every decision. It means choosing honesty even when dishonesty seems easier or more advantageous. It means remaining kind and compassionate when bitterness or resentment feels tempting. It means practicing gratitude when complaints seem more popular or justifiable. It means protecting your inner peace and boundaries without becoming indifferent or cold to others. These choices may seem ordinary, small, or insignificant in the moment, but repeated consistently, day after day, month after month, year after year, they quietly but powerfully shape an extraordinary life, a life of profound substance. There is a quiet, unmistakable confidence that belongs to people who have learned to genuinely enjoy their own company, who are deeply rooted in themselves. They do not need to dominate every conversation, because they are comfortable with moments of silence, comfortable with simply listening. They do not constantly seek external attention or validation, because they already know their inherent worth, their value. They do not panic when plans change or expectations are thwarted, because they trust their ability to adapt, to innovate, to find a new path. They move through life with a steady, unhurried presence rather than a frantic urgency. Their calm, their groundedness, often becomes a quiet source of strength, comfort, and inspiration for everyone around them. This kind of profound confidence should never be confused with arrogance or pride. Pride says, "I do not need anyone. I am self-sufficient to the point of isolation." Wisdom, by contrast, says, "I value others deeply. I cherish connection, but I do not depend on them to tell me who I am, to define my worth, or to complete me." That subtle but crucial difference changes everything. It allows you to receive love, kindness, and support with genuine gratitude instead of desperate neediness. It allows you to offer kindness, generosity, and compassion without expecting something in immediate return. It allows you to celebrate another person's success wholeheartedly, without feeling that your own life has somehow become smaller or diminished. It fosters true liberty in all your relationships. As you continue living beyond this audiobook, remember that the habits and perspectives you have developed will require ongoing practice, continuous cultivation. Some days you will naturally choose reflection over distraction, wisdom over impulse. Other days you may find yourself slipping back into old patterns of comparison, anxiety, or unnecessary busyness. Do not become discouraged by these inevitable human moments. Growth is not measured by never stumbling, by never having a difficult day. It is measured by how often you compassionately, gently, yet firmly return to the path that leads you toward wisdom, inner peace, and self-reliance. Every day offers a new opportunity to begin again, to recommit to your journey. Protect your moments of solitude. Do not treat them as empty spaces waiting to be filled by external input. Treat them as sacred opportunities to reconnect with your deepest values, your authentic self, your inner compass. Let silence remind you of what truly matters, what endures. Let reflection sharpen your judgment and clarify your purpose. Let gratitude soften your heart and expand your capacity for joy. Let simplicity keep your life uncluttered and focused. And let your growing self-respect become the quiet, unshakable foundation beneath everything you do, everything you are. One day, perhaps years from now, someone may ask you what truly changed your life, what was the turning point. They may expect you to mention a remarkable opportunity, an influential mentor, or an extraordinary, dramatic event, yet you may find yourself remembering something much quieter, much more internal. You may remember the day you stopped running from yourself, the day you truly embraced the possibility of solitude. You may remember the day you realized that being alone was never your greatest fear. It was, in fact, your greatest teacher. It taught you patience when life felt rushed and chaotic. It taught you courage when uncertainty appeared. It taught you contentment when the world insisted that more was always necessary, always better. Most importantly, it taught you that true peace is not something you discover in distant places, through external achievement. It is something you patiently, diligently build, cultivate, and protect within your own heart, within your own quiet mind. Walk forward then, with quiet confidence and profound self-possession. Welcome people into your life, cherish them, learn from them, and love them deeply, but never abandon yourself, your own integrity, your own peace, to keep them there. Pursue meaningful dreams with passion and dedication, but never sacrifice your inner peace in the process. Continue learning, growing, giving, and loving, while always remembering that the strongest foundation you will ever possess is the sacred, evolving relationship you have with yourself. When you learn to walk through the world whole and unshaken, you carry with you a strength that no circumstance can steal, no opinion can diminish, and no passing season can erase. That quiet, profound strength will become your lifelong companion, guiding you through every chapter that still waits to be written, making every step a journey of purpose. Conclusion. Every meaningful journey leaves you with more than just information. It leaves you changed, transformed at a fundamental level. If you have listened with an open mind and a receptive heart, this audiobook has never simply been about the superficial act of spending time alone. It has been about discovering a way of living that cannot easily be shaken by the turbulent, ever-changing conditions of the external world. It has been about finding a quiet, unshakable strength that remains with you, an internal compass, whether you are surrounded by people or sitting peacefully by yourself. Throughout these chapters, you have learned that solitude is not the absence of life, but rather the very space where life often becomes most visible, most vibrant, and most deeply understood. In silence, you begin to hear thoughts, insights, and intuitions that were hidden beneath the constant clamor and noise. In reflection, you recognize patterns and habits that have quietly shaped your future, for better or worse. In stillness, you discover, with profound clarity, that lasting peace has never depended on perfect external circumstances. It has always depended, fundamentally, on your willingness to build and cultivate a healthy, honest, and loving relationship with the one person who will accompany you every single day of your life, you. You have seen with new eyes that loneliness and solitude are not the same. Loneliness comes from feeling disconnected, from a painful yearning for external connection that is absent. Solitude, by contrast, becomes a sacred space where your connection with yourself grows stronger, deeper, and more authentic. That profound internal connection changes everything. It gives you the quiet courage to stop seeking constant external approval, the wisdom to resist the corrosive habit of comparison, the patience to understand your emotions and learn from their messages, and the unwavering confidence to stand firmly on your own values, even when challenging. Instead of frantically asking the world to tell you who you are, you begin discovering that answer, with increasing clarity, from deep within your own being. Perhaps one of the greatest lessons of all is that genuine happiness, true contentment, cannot be borrowed or outsourced. Other people can encourage you, inspire you, and fill your life with love, laughter, and support. But they cannot permanently carry the fundamental responsibility for your inner peace or your sense of fulfillment. That profound responsibility belongs solely to you. At first, this truth may seem demanding, even daunting, suggesting a heavy burden. Yet, it is also wonderfully, profoundly freeing. Because it means your happiness, your peace, your well-being is no longer held hostage by changing opinions, uncertain circumstances, or temporary disappointments. The key, the power, has been in your hands within your heart all along. As you move forward from this moment, there will still be difficult days, for that is the human condition. There will be moments when life feels uncertain, when plans change without warning, or when disappointment visits your doorstep. Do not see those moments as proof that you have failed, or that your journey has been in vain. See them, instead, as invaluable opportunities to practice what you have learned, to apply the wisdom you have gained. Return to silence when the world becomes noisy and overwhelming. Return to gratitude when comparison begins stealing your joy. Return to reflection when emotions become confusing or overwhelming. Return to your core values whenever confusion clouds your direction. The lessons in this audiobook are not meant to be remembered only once and then forgotten. They are meant to become lifelong companions, trusted guides for every step of your journey. Remember that true growth is rarely dramatic or instantaneous. A mighty tree does not grow overnight. It grows quietly, persistently, one season at a time, strengthening its roots deep beneath the surface, long before anyone truly notices the impressive height of its branches. Your inner life grows in precisely the same way. Every thoughtful decision, every honest conversation with yourself, every unnecessary distraction you consciously resist, and every peaceful moment you intentionally protect adds another robust layer to the foundation of your character. Day by day, those seemingly small choices create a person who is calm in difficulty, grateful in success, and steady, resilient through every season of life. Do not measure your progress solely by how often you are praised, how many followers you gain, or how impressive your life appears to others. Measure it by quieter, more profound signs. Are you becoming more patient than you were last year? Do you recover more quickly and gracefully from disappointment? Can you sit alone without feeling the compulsive need to escape yourself, to fill the void? Are you making decisions that genuinely reflect your deepest values, instead of merely your fears or external pressures? These are the victories that truly matter, because they cannot be taken away by changing circumstances, by external judgment, or by the passage of time. Never forget that solitude is not meant to pull you away from the world in isolation. Its profound purpose is, paradoxically, to prepare you for it. The stronger your relationship with yourself becomes, the healthier, more authentic, and more joyful your relationships with others will be. You will listen more deeply because you no longer need every conversation to prove your worth. You will love more freely because you no longer expect others to fill every empty place within you. You will forgive more easily because your peace will become more valuable than holding on to corrosive resentment. You will serve more generously because your life will no longer revolve around the constant, exhausting pursuit of external validation. There is a beautiful, liberating paradox in the art of being alone. The more comfortable you become with yourself, the more truly present and authentically connected you become with other people. You stop viewing relationships as a desperate way to escape loneliness and begin experiencing them as precious opportunities to share the peace, the joy, and the completeness you have already found within yourself. You discover that true independence does not make the heart colder or more distant. It makes it freer, more expansive, and more capable of giving love without fear and receiving it with genuine gratitude. As this audiobook comes to an end, think of it not as the closing of a story, but as the inspiring beginning of a new way of living for you. Continue creating moments of sacred silence in a noisy world. Continue asking meaningful, searching questions instead of rushing toward easy, superficial answers. Continue choosing depth over distraction, gratitude over comparison, character over image, and inner peace over endless, exhausting striving. These choices may seem small on any single day, but over a lifetime, they become a quiet, magnificent architecture of an extraordinary life, a life built on purpose, integrity, and profound self-possession. One day, you may look back and realize that the greatest gift solitude ever gave you was not simply the ability to enjoy being alone. It was the transformative ability to walk into every room, every relationship, every challenge, and every new season of life already feeling complete, already feeling enough. You will no longer search desperately for someone else to tell you that you are worthy, that you are sufficient, because you will know it, deeply and undeniably, through the life you have chosen to build from the inside out. You will no longer fear silence, because it will have become the familiar, welcoming place where your wisdom, courage, and peace continue to grow, deepen, and flourish. So, walk forward with unwavering confidence. Protect your inner world with the utmost care. Welcome people into your life with an open heart. Cherish them, learn from them, and love them deeply. But never ever lose the profound friendship you have built with yourself. It is the one relationship that will accompany you through every sunrise, every setback, every triumph, and every tomorrow. Because in the end, the art of being alone is not about living without others. It is about living so fully, so authentically, within yourself, that wherever life takes you, you carry happiness, inner peace, and self-reliance with you as your truest companions. And that, dear listener, is a kind of freedom no one can ever take away.